Hey sports fans, welcome back to the Fool Show. Of course, I am Foolish Phil. I just wanted to give you some thoughts after Michigan's and college football's early signing period wrapped up today. Pretty much, I mean, there might be a couple players more tonight, but I'll get to that in a little bit too, because that's still a factor in all of college football. First off, I think this will be the end of early signing period. Again, I don't know if they really can fix it, but you just see where these coaches are leaving jobs before the season's even over to get to new jobs because this early signing period is so critical. You need to get most of your class this time. So I think the NCAA, I don't know if they will do this, if they have power to do this, because the NCAA seems pretty worthless. But I think they should go back to the February signing period. That way you can have kind of coaches come and go after the bowl season. I think it would be a much better flow to the off-season and recruiting. But it certainly makes mid-December, a pretty exciting day for sports fans. So, regardless of that, let's talk about what happened today. Michigan put together a solid class. They were looking at like the top 10-ish, regardless of what kind of happened today. Obviously, you could always have some flips, and you did when you had defensive end Burke, who flipped from Michigan to Texas. Fine. He got a scholarship offer just on Tuesday night, and he committed. So I have not looked at this, but I thought this was like a dead period where coaches couldn't like do visits and stuff. Maybe they can make phone calls or something. I don't know. But I thought we were in a dead period where you couldn't do contact. But obviously Texas did something, and they got Burke to go with them, and kudos to them. Fine. That's how it goes. I'm not going to be a grown man tweeting at players and criticizing them or anything. It's like, you want to come to Michigan? Fine. You want to go to a different school? Fine. I would rather have you, for instance, go to Texas versus, say, you come to Michigan and then, like, transfer out after a year. Like, if you want to go to Texas, man, go to Texas. This is your decision. So, that's the only one Michigan officially lost that I noticed. They made some key acquisitions. They kept some players that were on the bubble list. Some were talking about maybe Deuce Spurlock might have gone. He signed. Damani Dent, he signed. Florida schools were after him. So Michigan kept basically the whole class that, signed today. All along with that, they added 5 players, which were, 50-50 coin flips. Some were a little higher chance. First off, they got this Walker, wide receiver from Notre Dame. It had been rumored for a long time that he really liked Michigan, that he was going to flip from Notre Dame. Maybe Kelly going to LSU broke the camel's back. He just flipped over. Great. They also got Clemens, just outstanding to get him. I really like this wide receiver core, and I think the other one they got was Morris, I think it is. I might be wrong with that, but they have these wide receivers that are like 6'3", 6'4", so some tall guys, whereas the past few years, Gaddis has really recruited like shorter speed guys. So I think that's going to be a good balance. Obviously now, probably next year, hopefully get a balance with some shorter, speedy slot guys and some taller guys. But see how that goes. But what might have been a liability going forward in wide receivers was greatly addressed. So Michigan added Walker and Clemens. Also this afternoon, they added the defensive line, Derek Moore, I think it is. So that was a great pickup there. He is, I think, a top 100 recruit. Again, I might get that a little mixed up. They got Keon Saab. He was a Clemson commit. He obviously decommitted when Venables went to Oklahoma. Michigan got him. And then an interesting move here. This is one of my first observations. Michigan signed quarterback Orgy, at least I think that's how they say it, Orgy, from Virginia Tech. They got him to flip too. And I'm really not sure why Michigan took 2 quarterbacks this cycle. I thought when he signed that maybe that meant Denagel was going to maybe flip and go to Cal or something. That was a rumor. But Denagel signed as well. So Michigan got 2 quarterbacks. A little surprised because you're looking at, hopefully, without going transfer portal move, you're going to have Cade, JJ, obviously Denagel and Orgy. They're obviously hopefully not going to play much of anything significant next year. But, I was kind of surprised they took 2 quarterbacks this cycle. Reading up on Orgy, it sounds like he might be more of a versatile guy, like maybe like a Tim Tebow type guy, short yardage. He can throw too, so we'll see how Michigan uses him and doesn't use him. We'll see. Might see a lot of the Wildcat with him. We'll see. We'll see. So that was one of my first observations. Oh, I'm going to go back one little bit. Sorry. I alluded to this. The classes are pretty much set, but there are some big-time recruits who have pushed off their recruitment to the traditional, the old signing period in February. For note, obviously, offensive line, Cornerly out of Washington. He's going to go in February, along with Cavante Henry. Both of those are West Coast guys, and now that Michigan's, recruitment coordinator left, people are wondering if that's going to be kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, that those guys won't come. I don't know. I just saw that Cornerly's dad just tweeted, a thing with at Josh Gaddis with his son in a Michigan gear with a smiley face or something. So I don't know what that means. Obviously, it's still 2 months away from that signing day, so lots can happen there. So Michigan's class isn't quite finished. Another thing that came out was after Will Johnson signed up, then Michigan put out a caricature of the whole team on Twitter, and people were a little surprised because apparently this was done and the class wasn't finished because Aaron Alexander had not signed up. Perhaps he had moved his signing day to February, but people are wondering what that might mean. Is he being processed? More to come, I bet. But Aaron Alexander is not officially signed as I record this video. So, Michigan added 5 players. Great. Only lost 1. Okay. Added the new quarterbacks. Not sure about that. Another big story to come out of this. Deion Sanders flipped the number 1/number 2 player in the country, Hunt, I think his name is, from Florida State to Jacksonville State. What? Okay, man. Deion must have given, the best speech ever. Going from a high-profile school to... Are Jacksonville State games on TV? I mean, don't get me wrong, but college is kind of growing your brand and such a little bit. But you know what? Deion made it work. Kudos to him. Oh, sorry. Another thing I wanted to talk about is how on earth does Penn State get such a good class? They have the number 6 class in the country, and they went 7-5 this year. I know they got Franklin signed up to another 7-year extension, so I think it's 9 or 10 years total. But I'm wow. I know Penn State, I guess maybe is a name, but I'm not going to count COVID necessarily. They went 4-5 last year, 7-5 this year. It's just kind of surprising that they would get such a big class, but again, it's Penn State. Going through the top 10, not many surprises, really. Alabama, right now, according to Rivals, I mean, this is when I'm recording. You're going to add more players, don't get me wrong. But Rivals says Alabama 1, 2 Georgia, then Texas A&M and Texas. I guess it helps to be in Texas, man, because both those programs, nothing that great. And they got the number 3 and 4 classes in the country. And, man, Texas had a day. They flipped Burke from Michigan. They flipped another guy from Ohio State. They were having a day flipping people, man. Then you have Ohio State's not 5. Penn State 6. 7 was Notre Dame. 8 Michigan. 9 North Carolina. 10 Tennessee. Pretty good. Nothing terribly surprising really there. To round up a little bit of the Big Ten, Michigan State was 17, Indiana was 20, and the rest are more in there. A thing that really makes you wonder is the disparity in the Big Ten East versus West. Now, the teams got reshuffled a little bit as the day went on. But at one point, the top 7 of 14, right? There's 14 Big Ten teams. The top 7 teams, based on class rank, were all the Big Ten East. So that means the bottom 7 teams were all from the Big Ten West by ranking talent-wise. Not surprising, right? I mean, if you followed it, the Big Ten East has not lost a Big Ten title game yet. They have, I think it's 8 or 9 in a row. They have not lost to the Big Ten West. There's just a talent gap between the Big Ten East and the Big Ten West. And again, I think this just points out again how the Big Ten needs to come up with a different way to get its champion. If they're going to keep the conference title game, I'm telling you, if they add a bigger playoff, I think they get rid of the Big Ten title game so that you don't hurt a team, so you don't lose a team that would make the playoffs. But we'll see. And then I just gotta say too that this is just crazy how Texas A&M and Texas are doing so well. But again, I'm kind of repeating. They did so well, I guess because they're Texas. Huge state, lots of talent. And people want to play for Sarkisian and Fisher, I guess. So kudos to them. One more little thing. I know Ohio State lost a few recruits, and I'm sure they signed more recruits. Don't get me wrong. But Ohio State has a smaller class, only 18, if I remember right. And Ohio State has the highest average of any school at 4 overall. They're the highest one. No one else has a 4 that I noted, at least according to Rivals. So, and just when you're hoping that Michigan can close the gap a little bit, and obviously winning versus Ohio State certainly helped. You got, Michigan added, Moore and Saab and Clemens and Walker. Those guys probably don't come if you don't beat Ohio State, so that certainly helps. But there's no denying Ohio State's still the cream of the crop in the Big Ten, at least in recruiting day and expectations. So, that hasn't changed. Ohio State still recruited a great class. Got to give props to Penn State, man. They got a great class. And Michigan, if you get a top 10 class, nothing wrong with that. I mean, don't get me wrong. Nothing to poo-poo a top 10 class. Right now they're sitting at number 8. Those are just my foolish thoughts. What do you guys take away from early signing day here? Are you surprised by anything? Anything that really stick out? Anything that surprised you? Again, Michigan adding 5 players that I was not expecting is just a huge early Christmas present for me. Really cool. Hopefully those guys fit in very well and, go from there. And, we got obviously the Orange Bowl coming up. So that's going to kind of keep this momentum going. And hopefully Michigan will play very well against Georgia and see how it plays out. Let me know in the comments below if you have anything. And again, I appreciate you guys watching. Please hit that subscribe if you haven't. Always gives me an incentive to keep doing those videos. And until I see you guys next time, go Blue!